I want to make winter my friend and meet people from all over the world. My dreams will come true in Nagano. To flower as one. Nagano Ceremony Stadium, portraying a flowering cherry blossom, a future baseball stadium, but today it belongs to the world. The call has gone out to the world. The opening ceremony beginning on a hillside 8 miles away in the center of town with the ringing of the Zenkoji temple bell. The sound is said to purify the soul. And today it announces that the Nagano Olympics, the Festival of Peace, has begun.
For these opening ceremonies, they wanted a simple, solemn, and spiritual atmosphere.
The bell ringing is being shown on a 500-inch screen atop the Olympic Stadium. It also expresses the wish that the Nagano Games will embody the Olympic ideals of nobility, of spirit, and love.
For 400 years, the sonorous tones of the bell at Zenkoji have reverberated throughout the city of Nagano.
There is a common belief that all Japanese souls travel through Zenkoji after death. It is the spiritual and cultural center.
Today, it rings out to confer blessings on the opening ceremony of the 18th.
Well, the games won't officially begin until Emperor Akihito declares them open and the cauldron is ignited, but spiritual time is underway and the torch makes its way to the final destination, the cauldron here at the stadium.
You know, when you hear the bell at Zenkoji Temple, we're reminded that Zenkoji Temple never closed its doors to women or anyone from any religious sect. And it's appropriate, I think, Jim, that they use that setting to welcome the world to these games. For so long, this area had been considered the Tibet of Japan. And in a very spiritual and physical sense now, the games have changed that. They're no longer isolated.
Some of the athletes playing and waiting outside. Little snowball fight. Look at this. Nagano is the southernmost site ever to host the Winter Olympics. When we were in Lillehammer 4 years ago, that was the northernmost. Nagano actually sits on the same latitude as Nashville, Tennessee, and Las Vegas.
Well, it felt like Las Vegas here yesterday. The sun was out, and we all had our coats off today, a little bit overcast and quite chilly.
United in one voice in Beethoven's Ode to Joy, they will send a message of the celebration to the young athletes.
Well, the Nagano Games are appealing to the people of all nations to join together this time to create a truly peaceful world. And the central theme of this ceremony is to sing in unison for our hopes and dreams of the future. Guided by the vision and baton of Seiji Ozawa, we're live at 3 a.m. in Berlin in front of the Brandenburg Gate on the East Berlin side, some 200 members strong.
The Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. The local time is 3 o'clock on Saturday morning, 3 degrees Celsius.
A greeting from Berlin, and it's 1 in the afternoon in Sydney on the front steps of the Opera House with the Sydney Philharmonic Choir. The middle of summer there, and there's the choir forming the Olympic rings in front of the Opera House.
The Sydney Opera House in Sydney. The local time is 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. 30 degrees Celsius. It's midsummer.
Just after 9 at night in New York, as the Tanglewood Festival Chorus stands at the United Nations General Assembly Hall.
The General Assembly Hall of the United Nations in New York. The local time is 9 o'clock on Friday evening. 6 degrees Celsius.
And in Beijing, they've gathered at the Xinwu Gate of the Forbidden City, where it's 10 in the morning.
The Xinwu Gate of the Forbidden City in Beijing.
What a sight.
The local time is 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. 0 degrees Celsius.
And live on the east coast of South Africa's Cape Peninsula, with the Indian Ocean behind them, it's 4 in the morning. And for the first time since the end of apartheid rule, black and white choruses are singing as one.
But not least, False Bay in Cape Point, South Africa. The local time is 4 o'clock on Saturday morning. 22 degrees Celsius.
5 continents, 5 choruses. They will later in the ceremony sing together. Take direction from Seiji Ozawa via satellite. Their voices will certainly be heard throughout these Japan Alps that envelop this host city of Nagano.
Now we must prepare for the arrival of the athletes.
The initial ceremony offering for the 50,000 gathered here is a ritual that goes back some 1,200 years. The raising of the Onbashira pillars.
They originally held these festivals to rebuild the shrines. And even though the shrines don't deteriorate as quickly as they used to, they still have an Onbashira festival every 7 years. The people have to save their money during those years to pay for the festival. So during that year of the festival, they don't have any weddings, they don't build any houses, they even stop drinking.
That festival will take place later this year. Always in the year of the tiger. They come from the Suwa region of the Nagano prefecture. You will see them raise these 40-foot long logs that are some, well, 2 tons in all. They consider the logs so sacred, they're called the gods of the mountain.
This is the log carrier's chant. It's kind of like a Japanese yodel. The chant is sung in order to coordinate the large number of people who work with these large, large trees that weigh 2 tons.
Their chant is, God of the mountain, oh please erect the onbashira together as one. Oh, please, let's pull together. Oh, please, good luck, everyone. They are raising these pillars at each of the entryways, building a bridge enabling human beings and gods to travel between heaven and earth. In this case, building an entryway for the athletes and their parade of nations.
And in a sense, Jim, this is very symbolic, because what they are doing is blessing the time and the space of the Olympics. They're trying to create a sacred site befitting of the Olympic ideals of peace and solidarity. And these are themes that we're going to see throughout the opening ceremony. In all from the Suwa region erecting the pillars. When the organizers first proposed the idea of doing an onbashira in the opening ceremony, they suggested that they use plastic poles to save money, and the people of Suwa said, no way. They would never consider doing anything like that. That would be an insult to God. So they brought their own poles, and they said, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it.
Imagine what the feeling is for them to be able to show this ritual to the world.
The young man who picked us up this morning to drive us over here is from the Suwa region, and he was just beaming with pride that folks from his town would be here and participating in this momentous occasion.
Yeah, they say we don't need to practice, because when we are born, our bodies know what to do. Well, there you have it. The sacred gateway to the inner circle of the ceremony stadium has been built. The festivities are underway. At the opening ceremony, the sumo ring entering ceremony is about to get started. We await the arrival of the emperor, and the torch continues its relay and its march toward the ceremony stadium. To the cauldron. And we'll continue from Nagano in just a moment.
My name is Pat.
The national sport of Japan, and it may be only 39 degrees out, but it's certainly no problem for these hardy souls. And their sumo ring entering ceremony, serving as a chance to bless the Olympics and symbolize the sportsmanship displayed by the athletes at the Games.
These sumotori were really setting the stage for what will be the most spectacular entrance of Akebono, one of the grand champions. Wearing only their ceremonial silks, marching in reverse order of rank, the top wrestlers always at the back of the line. Those silks, 22 pounds, they can cost a bunch of money, up to $1 million.
$8,500 to $1 million for the silk aprons. Called a kaisho mawashi is what they call the aprons. And Akebono makes his entrance. 6'7", 480 pounds.
Well, the Sumo Association requires a young man to be at least 5'8", 165 pounds, but I don't see many that size out there today.
He was there, was Akebono, with Tara Lipinski for her first practice. I suggested perhaps they could enter the pairs competition on Sunday night. He said, why not? I'll try a double axel. Now everyone stands as Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko will take their seats in the imperial box. Emperor Akihito, whose name translates to brightly benevolent. He's 64 years old, is the 125th emperor of Japan. He ascended to the throne back in 1989 when his father, Emperor Hirohito, passed away at the age of 87.
And he has really taken a particular interest in establishing himself as the emperor of the people. He often makes public appearances. Both he and the Empress have ventured out beyond the imperial palace more frequently than any emperor in the past. They volunteer their time with the elderly, the handicapped, children's groups.
Nagano doesn't, well, it has a special place in the heart of the emperor and the empress.
This is where they met, nearby, at Kirizawa at a ski resort.
Kirizawa is in this Nagano prefecture. Prefecture, same thing as what we know as a state. There are 47 prefectures in all in Japan. Musashi Maro, you just saw a moment ago, he's 26 years old, from Hawaii, and he's on his way to being a Yokozuna.
Now you are going to see a shiko. This is a ritual that drives out the evil spirits lurking in the earth.
Clap of the hands to get the attention of the gods. That thick white rope tied around his waist shows that he's achieved the sport's highest rank. Again, you're looking at an American, the first foreign-born sumo wrestler to attain the title of grand champion. He was born Chad Rowan 28 years ago on the island of Oahu.
There are only 2 Yokozunas in the whole sport, and you don't just get there with a win-loss record. You have to be deemed worthy to hold that title.
So Akebono has blessed the ring. The emperor has arrived, and the children will run free when we return.
Speed demons. Rivers. gravity defiers. Stark, raving maniacs. Obviously, a group in need of professional help. Schwab is the investment firm of the U.S. ski team.
I've heard a great deal about you, Mulan. You took your father's armor, impersonated us.
Back live at the opening ceremony, the 150 snow children from Nagano City schools are entering. They're known as the Yukinkos, the snow children. And according to the ceremony producers, these children will be tomorrow's architects, builders of the 21st century, filled with love and peace.
That's the Dosojin, the traveler's guardians. They actually had these along the side of the road just south of Nagano when the torch went through a town, Uka.
They're all part of that one school, one country program, Andrew, we've heard so much about, that got all the children of Nagano involved in these Olympic Games the last 2 years.
Well, it was very important for the Nagano Organizing Committee to get children involved.
Athletes outside are being moved into position for the Parade of Nations.
The costumes that you see on these children are made of straw. They are traditional winter costumes. And originally, only 75 kids were supposed to participate in this part of the ceremony. But when the producer saw the tears rolling down the faces of those who were designated into Group B, he changed his mind. So he allowed all 150 to participate. But it didn't come cheap, did it?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm glad he did.
The costumes cost $1,000 a piece, so he had to come up with $75,000 more. But he made an awful lot of kids so very happy.
The children will now reveal the costumes, the national colors of the countries they will be escorting in the Parade of Nations. Get ready, you're about to hear the Nagano Olympic theme song, When Children Rule the World. Led by one of Japan's top singers, Ryoko Moroyama. wonderful song of peace from these, the final games of this century. A message that will resonate the next 16 days in this Olympic city.
In today's parade.
Now, the homeland of the Olympics has never won a medal in the Winter Games. Just this past September, what joy to Greece as Athens was named host of the 2004 Summer Games. The nations will all enter, led by a sumo wrestler and one of the Yakinkos. The snow children riding atop the shoulders of the sumo.
Andorra, just 4 athletes in the Andorra delegation, a tiny country sandwiched between France and Spain in the Pyrenees Mountains, about half the size of New York City.
Argentina, just 2 athletes competing here. What a trip they had
A
to the Olympics.
40-hour trip, Buenos Aires, Miami, Seattle, Tokyo to Nagano. They went Nagano. They went from winter to summer, and then back to winter.
Armenia with 7 athletes. They did not win any medals in Lillehammer. That was their Winter Olympic debut.
The smallest of the former Soviet republics.
First nation to adopt Christianity back in the year 301. Australia.
Sydney will host the first Olympic Games of the next century, to be held in the year 2000.
Well, in Lillehammer, Australia won its first ever winter medal. They picked up a bronze in a relay in the short track speed skating event.
The flag bearer is Richard Nizelski. He's a member of the 5,000-meter bronze medal relay team from 1994. Australia wanted the 3 returning relay members to carry the flag, but the IOC refused. So what did they do? They drew out one of those hats.
Well, here's one of the big stories we'll see at the Olympics. The skiing exploits of Austria, a nation that's smaller than the state of Maine, but has won 128 medals, 4th all time in the Winter Games.
The self-described power team led by alpine skier Hermann Maier. He's won 1/3 of all World Cup races. That's Emeta Hunyadi. She won the bronze in Albertville, gold in, she's a speed skater, won the gold in the 1,500 meter and the silver in the 3,000 meter in Lillehammer. And tradition in Austria states that the last Olympics, the person who had the most successful Olympics is the one to carry the flag.
That could mean Hermann Maier will be carrying the flag for Austria in Salt Lake City as he leads the World Cup standings right now. Could medal in a number of alpine events. Azerbaijan with 5 athletes, 4 of them are figure skaters.
Which is interesting because there are only 2 skating rinks in the whole country.
Their first Winter Olympics. Belarus will have a hockey team competing for the first time at the Olympics.
And they've got some incentive from the government. If the hockey team makes the final round, they will get a bonus from a Minsk beer company.
Belgium with just 1 athlete, and the story there, the athlete is speed skater Bart Veldkamp, who won Olympic medals for the Netherlands in '92 and '94, but he got tired of the Dutch qualifying process, so he picked up a new country, and his father's marching for him today. Bart is not here.
He will try to win the first Olympic winter medal for Belgium in 50 years.
And Bermuda. The big question for Bermuda, would they wear their shorts this time? And yes, indeed, they have it. Hey, if the sumo guys can do it. Patrick Singleton is the only athlete representing Bermuda. He's a loser. John Hoskins carrying the flag.
Bosnia, a new flag being flown for the first time today, just approved on February 4th. Sarajevo is seriously considering making a bid for the 2010 Olympics. That would give them an opportunity to rebuild that war-torn city.
Ismar Biogradlic. We met him earlier marching in these games, and what a journey to this ceremony today. Served in the Bosnian army, shot twice in a 1992 mission. Brazil, just one athlete, a skier. This country looking forward to the summer when it'll try to defend its World Cup soccer title. Ronaldo, Mario, and the rest of the gang try to defend its title. And here's Canada. Their ice hockey team will try to win its first Olympic gold medal. And Andrea, it's hard to believe they haven't won gold in hockey since 1952.
So much of Canada's identity is tied to ice hockey, and now for the first time they have a chance to compete, though, with some of their best players, the NHL stars making their debut in the Olympics. Women's ice hockey also debuting here. Canada's women's coach guaranteeing a gold medal.
But Canada will have some stiff competition from the women's team from the United States. Jean-Luc Brossard carrying the flag for Canada.
He was going to skip the opening ceremony because he's got to rest up for this weekend's competition. He's a freestyle mogulist.
Elvis Stoico, silver medalist in '94. He's the reigning world champion, and they've never won gold in men's figure skating at the Olympics. You think of the Brian Orsers and Kurt Brownings. Now Elvis Stoico will try to achieve that feat of gold in men's figs. Chile is here. 3 athletes, all alpine skiers.
The U.S. ski team, both the men and the women, trained in Chile this summer.
Tomas Grobe is the flag bearer for Chile, and he's here only because he crashed in yesterday's downhill training, so he skipped today's training, feeling a little bruised and sore, and he's going to walk it off by carrying the flag.
Nice that there was something else to do.
Tomas Grobe didn't plan on being here today. Thought he'd be training instead. China with 60 athletes. Traditionally, the nations during the parade march in alphabetical order according to the host country's language. But if the Japanese language was used, political foes China and Chinese Taipei would have marched in succession. And they won't do that. So to solve the problem, the nations today are marching in order of the English language.
Son, do you think you could...
Has arrived. They hope to improve on their ski jumping performance.
Well, right now they do have the best ski jumping team in the world, and this is something that's so deeply rooted in their culture. You see jumping hills in Finland, much like you would see baseball fields in the United States. That's Janne Ohonen.
1997 world champion in the normal hill, but in Lillehammer they did not win a medal after they'd won 7 of the previous 9 golds in the prior Olympics. France, there's Surya Bonali, medal prospect for sure in ladies figure skating, back again at the Olympics.
The flag bearer for France is Philippe Candeloro. He's like a rock star in Japan. The normally subdued figure skating crowds here go absolutely wild for him. In fact, he received the first ever standing ovation at the Olympic venue, the White Ring.
The men's hockey team lost a veteran member back in 1996 when Michel Brierstroff died aboard TWA Flight 800. He had boarded the plane just minutes after proposing to his girlfriend, a Harvard graduate. He was heading home to play French national preseason games with an eye toward Nagano. Michel Brierstroff, remembered today. Georgia. President of Georgia is Edward Shevardnadze, Gorbachev's foreign minister during the last years of the Soviet Union. 3 athletes here, Andrea. 15 former Olympic gold medalists.
This is the largest team Germany has ever sent to the Winter Olympics. 133 athletes in the delegation. 2/3 of this team is from the former East Germany, and it is still an issue there. The news reports still identify them as such.
They bring back such champions as downhill gold medalist Katja Seisinger, 3-time Olympic champion speed skater Gunda Niemann, 2-time luge gold medalist Georg Hackel. Always a force at these games. Well, only 2 countries have participated in every Winter and Summer Olympics: Switzerland and Great Britain. Somewhat surprising, one of only 5 nations to have won hockey gold. Great Britain won its lone gold back in 1936 in hockey, aided by several Canadian imports who had moved to England.
Michael Dixon is the flag bearer, competing in his 5th Olympics. He also carried the flag in Lillehammer. He competed in cross country in Sarajevo, in biathlon in Calgary, Albertville, and Lillehammer.
Meanwhile, the torch, Andrea, has arrived here on the stadium grounds. Hungary.
You know, Jim, Nagano has turned into a bit of an international city. You see so many restaurants around town. You see Mongolian restaurants, Italian restaurants. I've got some Hungarian blood, and I have to tell you, I haven't seen a single Hungarian restaurant. I'm worried about these athletes, thinking I'm going to head over to the athletes' village with my pots and pans and make some paprikash.
And a few recipes. Forget the Olympic Village. Bring some of that over to the broadcast center. Iceland could have one of the most fascinating medalists at these games. Iceland has never won a Winter Olympic medal, despite its name.
But they've got a slalom skier, Kirsten Bjornsson. Not enough snow in Iceland, so he trains in Norway. He's so unknown that when he finished on the podium in a World Cup event this year, they identified him from Israel.
They threw some party for him back home in Olafsfjordur after he had finished with silver in Park City. Here's India, just one athlete, a luger.
Shiva Keshavan, 16 years old, from the foothills of the Himalayas. The first luger to compete for India. He was invited to a sports camp. He thought that he would go there to ski, but they wanted him to luge. Boy, he looks young, doesn't he?
Really does. Iran is here. Its first Winter Olympic team since the Islamic Revolution. They last appeared at the Winter Games in Innsbruck in '76.
They have female skiers, but they did not bring them to Nagano. Islamic law requires segregation in athletes' villages and on slopes, so the women had to stay home.
Ireland returns Terry McHugh to the Olympics. He's on the bobsled team. The story there, McHugh is in his 5th Olympics, 3 in the summer, where he performs in the javelin, and this is his 2nd appearance at the Winter Games.
Carrying the flag for Israel, once again, Misha Shmerkin. His story captured the hearts of so many in 1994. The Soviet Jew who came to Israel looking for religious freedom. He put a note in the Wailing Wall saying that his greatest wish is to compete in the Olympics.
And tribute there for the Italian flag, which is carried by Gerda Weissensteiner. She was the luge gold medalist in Norway, but returned home to tragedy just 2 weeks after winning gold back in '94. Gerda's brother Daniel was killed in a motorcycle accident, and then while she was attending the funeral, her gold medal was stolen from her home. Medal was found a few weeks later.
Here's Jamaica. Back in 1988, everybody made light of the Jamaican bobsled team, but these guys take it very seriously. Dudley Stokes, the original driver, trained side by side this year with Harold Chudai, the defending 4-man Olympic champion from Germany.
We should remember that Jamaicans just aren't a novelty act anymore. In fact, in '94, they beat the Americans in bobsled competition.
And the greatest thing about these guys, they always have so much fun at the Olympics. Every time they turn up, they have the biggest smiles. They are happy to be here. Remember in '92, we had them in our studio in Albertville.
Kazakhstan. They bring back their decorated cross-country skier, Vladimir Smirnov. Kenya, with its first Winter Olympic appearance, flag bearer Philip Boyd. Philip Boyd, introduced to the sport of skiing, cross-country skiing, just 2 years ago. He was taken to Finland to train. It was the first time he'd ever been on skis, first time he'd ever seen snow. And just yesterday, while training up at Hakuba, he got lost on the cross-country course. He couldn't interpret the sign, got off track. He was lost for a while before he was finally
Well, you
found.
wonder sometimes the motivation of an athlete, and he says that he's doing this not just for Kenya, but it's for all of Africa. He's hoping that it'll encourage other nations to participate in the Winter Olympics.
South Korea, always strong in short track speed skating. They won 6 medals in Lillehammer, all on the short track surface. There'll be a power here again when the action goes inside for short track. Well, the United States still to come, and the host country, Japan, as we continue the Parade of Nations.
The 18th Olympic
Entered the stadium. That means Prince Albert of Monaco has returned for his 4th games, a bobsledder.
He always stays in the athletes' village. All the other athletes respect him for his ability to mix with the other athletes.
Mongolia with 1 athlete.
Ochirsak Davadorsh, from a very remote area, traveled hundreds of miles for his send-off parties.
The Netherlands, 47 of its 50 winter medals have come in speed skating. They're expected to come up big here again, and in fact are a threat in the sprints for the first time, with Jan Vos, one of the favorites in the men's sprint events, coached by Dan Jansen's coach back in 1994, Peter Mueller. New Zealand.
Claudia Riegler, the only medal hope from New Zealand. She was actually born and raised in Austria, but she competes for New Zealand because her mother is from there. The Austrian team didn't want her originally, but last year, after finishing 2nd in the World Cup standings, they wanted her back on the team, and she said, no thanks, I think I'll stick with the Kiwis. Trying to make a ski team in Austria is incredibly difficult.
We have 4 countries new to these Winter Games. They weren't there in Lillehammer. The former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, Kenya, Uruguay, Venezuela. Make it 5. Azerbaijan also. Four countries represented in Norway did not come back with a team. American Samoa, Mexico, San Marino, and Senegal.
You know, Jim, as we watch these athletes march in, I don't think that you can underestimate what it means to so many of these young people to participate and to be here today. So many of them train in relative obscurity with not even a shot at a medal, but this is their moment, marching in this opening ceremony.
Now they change ends, and the rest of the nations will enter from the stadium's west entrance, led by Norway and flag bearer Espen Bredesen.
So difficult for Norway to top 1994 spiritually and competitively. 26 medals in Lillehammer. They were almost embarrassed by their success.
There's symbolic, if you will, passing of the torch going on right now on the Storgata.
They're having a big party.
That main street in Norway where it's the middle of the night. They celebrate the passing of the torch to Japan. One of the largest delegations belongs to Russia, 126 athletes strong.
They have an exceptionally strong figure skating team, expected to win gold in pairs, dance, a good shot in the men's competition with Ilya Kulik, and a few women will contend for figure skating medals as well.
As we watch live, you know, Sunday night we have the pairs competition, and Russian or former Soviet pairs have won the last 9 Olympic golds. What was it Scott Hamilton said earlier?
The Russians are coming. They're here.
Slovakia.
This has been a rough trip for the Slovakians. They've had a couple of athletes get sick on the flight over. Their luggage has been lost, but it hasn't affected their spirits, Jim. They are hosting keg parties every night in the athletes' village. They've got gypsy bands, food, beer.
They lost their luggage. I guess they didn't check the keg. They must have carried them on. Slovenia, the flag bearer, one of the premier ski jumpers in the world. In fact, won last season's World Cup title as an 18-year-old, Primož Terka.
He is such a superstar back home. He can't even go out of the house without being mobbed by fans.
South Africa with 2 competitors, both of whom train in the United States.
South Africa.
When we come back live to the opening ceremonies, the United States will make its entrance. Opening ceremony, you want to record that just to prove to everyone how close you are to the athletes of the world.
A lot of the athletes themselves carry those little cameras in to capture the moment. Here's Ukraine.
Yeah. Nation of 51 million.
Country has produced figure skating gold medalists in the last 2 games. Viktor Petrenko in 1992 and Oksana Bayul in 1994.
They have a medal hopeful in men's figure skating, Vyacheslav Zagorodniak. The United States is next. Led by flag bearer Eric Flame in his 4th Olympic Games. The only American to win Olympic medals in both long and short track speed skating.
And he's the only American in the last 60 years to win Winter Olympic medals in 2 different sports.
Well, by tradition, Andrea, the U.S. flag bearer will not dip the stars and stripes as it passes in review. And the American flag makes its way by the Imperial box. It's a tradition dating back to the 1908 London Games.
It's quite a sight to see the Sumatori waving the American flag. He is an American.
There's Tara Lipinski.
Yes.
Tara, you can hear us.
Yes, I can.
Well, you didn't want to miss a moment of the Olympics. Now that you've walked inside the arena, tell us what this is all about for you.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm so happy I'm here.
What was it like for you, Tara, when you walked through that tunnel and saw all of these people here to greet you? What's the atmosphere like?
Oh, it's so great, and I hope I can remember it forever.
She is walking with her training partner, Todd Eldridge, for the 5th time, the U.S. champion. Certainly one of the medal favorites in men's figure skating, Todd Eldridge. They both train under the watchful eye of Richard Callahan. And Tara, please give Todd her best and good luck to you this
Thank you.
Olympic 2-week stretch. She's going to really soak up all the experience. In fact, watch Todd compete in the men's figure skating before she competes the 2nd week of the games.
Paul Wiley did that in '92 after he won his silver medal. He went to everything. We saw him out at hockey games in Maribel, hitchhiking down the side of the road because he had missed his ride, but he wasn't going to miss a moment of the experience. He really, as Tara is, soaked up all of the Olympic experience.
And you know, it really helped Paul. He ended up with a surprising silver medal. You know, he didn't shy away from getting involved in the Olympics, and it really paid off for him.
It seems odd to have an American delegation, though, without names like Bonnie Blair and Dan Jansen, but you've got new names now. Chris Whitty, Casey Fitz-Randolph. These are the speed skating names you'll be hearing a lot. And the U.S. is looking for its first ever luge medal.
The U.S. Virgin Islands.
They have a luger, Ann Abernathy, 44 years old. She will be the second oldest woman ever to compete in a Winter Olympic event. They call her Grandma Luge.
There's Ann Abernathy, Grandma Luge.
They also have a bobsled team that opened up a pizzeria to fund their training. They were waiting tables up until about a week ago. They're the Americans.
Saw the women's hockey team from the U.S. in the group. And now the applause for the host nation.
166 athletes in the Japan delegation.
Hiroyasu Shimizu, the world record holder, speed skating's 500-meter competition. Japanese athletes are under a little pressure here to perform, excel.
Well, the Japanese organizing committee said that they would like to see 3 gold medals, which doesn't sound like a lot, but only one Japanese athlete has ever won an individual Olympic gold medal. And talk about pressure. How about the pressure on ski jumper Masahiko Harada, perhaps one of the most popular athletes in Japan. He cost his country the gold in the team event in Lillehammer, and he's looking to redeem himself here at home.
Well, the ski jumping team for Japan would love to try to duplicate the accomplishments of the 72 team when Sapporo, Japan hosted the world, and they swept the medals in the normal hill competition. They have the ability to do that here again.
The smiles on the faces of the Emperor and the Empress. This is a moment that Nagano has waited for since 1991, when they were awarded the games. Thousands of people stood outside Zenkoji Temple at dawn to hear the announcement from the IOC.
When they were awarded the 98 games back in 91, they just barely beat out Salt Lake City. The vote was 47-43, where Salt Lake City later was awarded 2002. But you talk to any athlete who has ever been a part of an opening ceremony, experienced the march, and they'll tell you that clearly it's one of the most important moments of their life.
Women's hockey. Jim, I think that's going to be one of the exciting moments of these games when you see women's hockey make its debut here at the Olympics. If you have never seen women play hockey, you are in for a surprise.
We'll have the USA's opening game against China.
And China has a goalie. They call her the Great Wall of China.
Well, that'll be Sunday afternoon. Afternoon coverage. China with a team here in women's hockey. They have a total of 80 players in the entire nation, a nation of 1.2 billion, most populous nation in the world. The athletes have arrived. Next, the Olympic flag and the lighting of the cauldron when we return live to Nagano and the opening ceremony. Akihito will declare the opening of these 18th Olympic Winter Games. But first, into the stands we go. Al Trotwig.
All right, Jim, he's only the 18th man to carry the flag for the United States in a Winter Olympic Games. Eric Flame, congratulations. You look great, and you look so happy.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm ecstatic. It's a tremendous honor to carry the flag on behalf of my teammates and my country.
Tell me what you went through last night thinking about today.
Well, as I was mentioned to you, I woke up 5 times in the night just playing it through in my mind and thinking about my dad. because he's not with us any longer, but I know he's looking down watching, and it just was everything I thought it was going to be.
For all the time you've given to the U.S. Olympic effort, congratulations on a well-deserved honor.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Al, I am standing by with Philip Boyd, Kenya fielding its first ever Winter Olympic team, and this man has spent the last 2 years transforming himself from a cross-country runner into a cross-country skier, and the Winter Games are finally here. You carried the flag in. Tell us what that was like.
What I can say, I was really proud and I was happy, to be, in Olympic, it's a big thing, and I was really happy to carry the flag and also to be in Olympic for the first time. I am really proud and I'm very, very happy.
You are married, but you are away from Kenya so much. You are training in Finland. How much do you miss your family in Kenya?
Oh, what I can say now, I miss so much. I miss my family so much, as I've been away for a long time, even though I was there during December, but was a little, for a few days, 5 days, and it was not enough for me after going away from September. And I can say now I am missing home, and I think they are seeing me right now when I'm in Olympic, when they see by the television. And I'm missing them. Maybe after Olympic, it will take maybe 1 week, and then I'll go back to see them.
Enjoy the games.
Thank you.
Let's send it back to Jim.
The smile on the face of Philip Boyd said it all. Kenya has won 47 medals in summer Olympic competition, always starring in the long-distance events and track. This is their first Winter Olympic appearance, and Philip Boyd, a pioneer his country. Let's go back down to the stands. Kennedy?
Thank you very much, Jim. I am here with Chip Minton, who is the brakeman for the U.S. bobsled team. Not only that, he is also part of the WCW. He is a world-class wrestler. His name, in fact, is Mr. World-Class. Now, Chip, when you were watching some of the sumo wrestlers come out, did you have any desire to go out there and kind of wrestle them down?
Of course I had a desire to go out there and wrestle, but pound for pound, I don't think I could get in the same circle as they are.
But you would like to come wrestle in Japan?
Oh, it's my dream come true to come wrestle in Japan. Every pro wrestler would love to come here because the people are so receptive to the sport, and it's bigger over here than it is at home.
Now, what comes first in your life, bobsled or wrestling?
Well, they're both the most extreme sports I've ever been involved in, and I have to stay in shape 365 days a year, and both of them are equally as important, and I love both of them just the same.
Thank you very much, Chip Minton. Let's go back to Jim Nance. Jim?
Mr. World Class, a former state prison guard down in Georgia, and he'll be on Brian Scheimer's team that could medal here.
That's the guy I want to push my sled.
The opening message coming now from Juan Antonio Samaran, presiding over his 10th Olympics at the age of 77. Recently re-elected, will serve until at least 2001.
Your Imperial Majesty, Majestades, dear athletes, spectators here and around the world, Nagano e Yokoso. Bienvenidos. Welcome to Nagano. On behalf of the International Olympic Committee, the International Winter Sports Federations, and the National Olympic Committees, I greet the Japanese people, the members of the Olympic family, and television viewers throughout the world. These 18th Olympic Winter Games are being celebrated in the year of the 50th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is therefore our hope that the appeal of the 185 member states of the United Nations to observe the Olympic truce will foster international dialogue and diplomatic solutions to all conflicts in an effort to bring human tragedies to an end. The future of our society truly lies in our youth. Let us build together for them a peaceful and better world. Let us strive to provide an education for all, in which sport and the Olympic ideal also play an essential role, based on the values of respect, dignity, tolerance, and solidarity. Tout en œuvrant pour l'avenir, nous tenons à saluer également l'héritage culturel de nos prédécesseurs et nous rendons hommage, premièrement à la Grèce, berceau de l'olympisme, et aussi à la France, patrie du baron Pierre de Coubertin, fondateur des Jeux olympiques modernes. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to Japan, to the Nagano Organizing Committee, presided by Mr. Eiichiro Saito and directed by Mr. Makoto Kobayashi, to the staff and to the volunteers for their dedication and their contribution to Olympics. We are sure that these games will be a great success. And now, I have the honor and privilege of inviting His Imperial Majesty to proclaim the 18th Olympic Winter Games in Nagano open. Arigato Nippon, arigato Nagano.
Emperor Akihito will follow in his father's footsteps by declaring these games open. Emperor Hirohito had the same honor in Sapporo in '72.
ここに長野における第18回オリンピック冬季競技大会の開会を宣言します。
They are now officially open. Fanfare played at the Tokyo Games of '64. Interesting to hear President Samarang voice his concern with the growing tension in Iraq. He had said just yesterday, we can only pray the United States will observe an Olympic truce during the games, and he amplified those concerns today in his message.
And now the entrance of the Olympic flag, brought in from the West Gate. The color of the rings representing Asia, Europe, Australia, Africa, and the Americas. At least one of the colors of the 5 rings is in every flag of every nation competing. Shiharu Igaya and Yukio Kasaya. These 2 men, probably the most important in Japanese Winter Olympic history. The front 2 on the right on your screen. Igaya, the first Japanese to win a winter medal, the silver in the slalom in 1956. He learned to ski on these mountains. Kasaya, the first and only Japanese person to ever win an individual gold medal in a Winter Games. A gold in the 70-meter normal hill ski jumping in the 72 games in Sapporo, Japan.
That's Kasaya, the second one in. Yukio Kasaya, national hero, and again the only individual gold medalist in winter history for Japan. The first Japanese woman to win a winter medal is also carrying the flag, Seiko Hashimoto, a speed skater who took bronze in speed skating in Albertville in 1992. She's the last one on the right there, Seiko Hashimoto, waving to friends and fellow countrymen here in the stands of Nagano. I met this young lady, Seiko Hashimoto, at the World Championship some years ago. I was working with Eric Heiden, and when she met Eric Heiden there for the first time, she was so overwhelmed by it, she almost fell to her knees and wept. So emotional, meeting the Babe Ruth of her sport. There she is.
Ismar Beogradlich. We heard his story earlier. What it must mean to him to be here after everything he has been through in his life.
Raising of the Olympic flag to the Olympic hymn performed by the Nagano City Children's Choir. This hymn first performed at the games of the first Olympiad in Athens in 1896. It was not adopted as the official hymn until a meeting in Tokyo in 1957, so especially poignant to be heard here today. Next will be the Japanese national anthem.
Mesdames et messieurs, je vous prierai de bien vouloir vous lever pour entendre jouer l'hymne national japonais.
Please rise for the Japanese national anthem.
会場への最終ランナーはクリス・ムーンさんです。1995年 NGO スタッフとしてアフリカで地雷を除く作業中に右手右足を失ったムーンさんは
Born in England, he lost the lower part of his right leg and arm when a mine exploded in March 1995 while he was working to remove landmines in Mozambique. Overcame his handicap, completed the London Marathon using an artificial leg in 1996. In the last year, he was presented with a Bravery Award by Diana, Princess of Wales. He has the honor now of bringing the Olympic torch into the ceremony stadium. Chris Moon, surrounded on his passage by the 150 Yukinkos, the snow children. Show producer Kaito Asari chose Moon to lead the torch into the stadium to symbolize Japan's process of atoning for its sins. He raises the torch to the emperor. Said Asari, the producer, Japan is responsible for the curse of wars at the first half of the century. Chris Moon represents the sadness of the past century. The children represent the hope for the next century. Now Masaka Chiba will make a lap.
Chiba was a bronze medalist in the women's 10,000 meter race at the 1997 World Track and Field Championships in Athens.
The handoff to Takanori Kono and his two fellow members of the Nordic combined team that has won gold in the Olympics. Gold in Albertville, silver in Lillehammer. Snow children take their place up the stairs.
These Nordic combined athletes are really heroes here in 92 and 94. The most watched Winter Olympic sport in Japan, not figure skating, Nordic combined.
Kono surrounded by Mikata and Abe, and the fourth member of their gold medal team will say the athlete's oath, Kinji Ogiwara. Hiromi Suzuki, winner of the women's marathon at the 1997 World Track and Field Championships in Athens. She will now scale 148 steps to Puccini's Madame Butterfly. One great day, we will see. Steps, and one last torch bearer remains.
Keep your eye on the fans at the top of the steps.
It's Midori Ito, the most decorated figure skater in Japan history. Silver medalist in Albertville, world champion of '89. She will light the cauldron. She was the first to carry the flame in Japan. When the torch arrived at Narita Airport in late December, she received the handoff at Narita. First and last to carry the Olympic torch in Japan, Midori Ito.
By Kenji Ogiwara on behalf of all the athletes participating in the games.
And now the Olympic oath. The athlete's oath first, read by Kenji Ogiwara.
Sensei, 私はすべての競技者の名においてオリンピック憲章と競技規則を尊重し、スポーツの栄光と友好親善のために真のスポーツマン精神を持って大会に参加することを誓います。長野オリンピック参加選手代表荻原健二。
In the name of all the competitors, I promise that we shall take part in these Olympic Games, respecting and abiding by the rules which govern them in the true spirit of sportsmanship for the glory of sport and the honor of our teams.
And now to take the official's oath, Punka Horomatsu.
先生、私はすべての審判員及び役員の名において、すべての競技規則を尊重厳守し、真のスポーツマン精神を持って競技を公平に審判することを誓います。審判及び役員代表平松純子。
In the name of all the judges and officials, I promise that we shall officiate in these Olympic Games with complete impartiality, respecting and abiding by the rules which govern them in the true spirit of sportsmanship.
Hiramatsu, a figure skating judge who competed in the Olympics in 1960 in Squaw Valley.
And look at the dove-shaped balloons as they rise into the skies over the Japan Alps. They're made of a biodegradable material. They started looking for alternatives to real doves in 1988 when the birds were burned by the Olympic flame after they were released in Seoul. Actually have messages inside the balloons put in there by school children in Nagano, and maybe some of those will reach across the Pacific Ocean to American soil.
Can you imagine?
長野冬のオーケストラソリストは小沢さんによって選ばれた21世紀のスターたち8人バレエを踊るのはローザンのコンクール受賞者を中心にいたしました世界から集められた81人のバレリーナたちそして会場には長野合唱連盟2000人の合唱団
The Grand Global Chorus will be next. Chris Whitty in the middle of your screen. Could find gold in the 1,000-meter speed skating event. Seiji Ozawa now to conduct 5 choruses on 5 continents. They sing in Sydney, Berlin, New York, Beijing. Ozawa conducting at the Grand Concert Hall here in Nagano, hooked up via satellite around the world. The Xinwu Gate of the Forbidden City of Beijing. Cape Point, South Africa. So significant, the dawning of a new morning there, Andrea.
Black and white chorus singing together for the first time, just about dawn.
Inside the United Nations Grand Assembly Hall, this technological marvel, all of these choruses synchronized by satellite when normally there would be 4 or 5 second delays. Ode to Joy. Choral movement is the 4th and final movement of Beethoven's 9th Symphony. Coming up, more from the opening ceremony in Nagano, Japan. The games are officially underway. Michelle Kwan will join us when we come back. The Winter Games?
Well, I'm going to be nervous when I'm out there, but, you know, I've got to enjoy this experience. And when I go out there, I'm just going to have fun and really enjoy where I'm at. You know, it's the Olympic Games. It's once in a lifetime. I think my perspective is just to enjoy everything.
Michelle, there's been an awful lot of talk of a possible U.S. sweep in the women's competition. I don't suppose you've been thinking about that at all, have you?
Well, it's an individual sport, but, I mean, the U.S. team looks strong. We've got 3 great skaters representing the U.S. going to Nagano, and, you know, there's a big possibility that we take 1, 2, and 3 in Nagano.
You were so relaxed, so calm, so in control of things in Philadelphia. How do you handle the pressure now of following up that performance in Philadelphia, coming to the Olympics and trying to repeat it?
Well, I don't think there's any added pressure going into the Olympic Games. I just got to go into the competition and just enjoy myself. Like I said again, you know, it's such an honor to be at the Olympics. It's already a dream come true. And, you know, being there and just really having fun and having a big smile on my face and enjoying and savoring every moment of it.
All right, Michelle, thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you over here in Japan.
Okay, see ya.
Michelle Kwan, 15 perfect marks in Philadelphia. Some say the greatest performance in U.S. figure skating history. Can she follow up that virtuoso performance? The ladies' short program will be February 18th here on CBS. Back live in a moment.
CBS had a lot of ideas.
Boy continues around the world. Kathy Turner is back. 4-time medalist in short track skating.
The ballet dancers have been showing different Winter Olympic sports through their expression.
Ozawa, the music director for the Boston Symphony Orchestra for the last 25 years. And now the finale, Cape Point, South Africa. Sydney. Beijing. Berlin. Live in Nagano. Choruses on 5 continents.
An impressive technological achievement.
The Blue Impulse team headed toward the ceremony stadium, streaming the Olympic colors. Anthems in the next 2 weeks, but in my mind there's no doubt that the anthem of the world is Ode to Joy.
Well, and to hear these choruses all around the world singing in unison was simply spectacular.
The Emperor and Empress approved. We'll have some closing thoughts in just a moment. Has concluded here in Nagano. Many of the athletes, though, will let the moment linger. They'll stay and visit with athletes from around the world. Takes a few snapshots for sure. What were your thoughts of this festival?
Well, I thought it was a perfect ceremony.